चैनल और आई होप आप सब लोग बहुत बढ़िया होंगे. So the today's topic for our discussion is pteridophytes. In our previous videos we have already completed the algae, bryophytes entirely. Now we are going to discuss about the third topic of the plant kingdom, which is your pteridophytes. Okay, let's begin. See here, the pteridophytes word is derived from a Greek word where the pteron means the feather, or you can say that wings, and phytes as usually, which are known as the plant. Okay, so the pteridophyte, the entire word has been derived from a Greek word where the pteron means the feather or the wings and the phytes refer to the plants. Okay, now we are going to understand about the characteristics of the pteridophyte plant. One of the feature which distinguish the pteridophytes from the other plants is the presence of vasculature. As we have discussed earlier, the vascular system consists of two types of tissues. These are your complex tissues. What are these? These are your xylem and your phloem. Okay, from here there is the beginning of the presence of xylem and phloem. As we have discussed earlier in our videos, that the role of xylem is to transport the water from the roots to the entire plant parts. Okay, and it is unidirectional. Okay, the movement provided by the xylem is unidirectional, meaning in only one direction. The direction is from bottom to up. Okay, or you can say upward. Okay, the another complex tissue is your phloem. See, the role of phloem is to transport the food from the source. What are your source where the food has been synthesized is your leaves, to the sink. What is the sink? Any part of the plant where is the need of the photoassimilates. Okay, transport the food from source to the sink, and the movement is multidirectional. Okay, the movement provided by the phloem tissue is the multidirectional as compared to the xylem, which provides the unidirectional movement. I hope till that point I am clear with all of you. Now we are going to understand about the general characteristic or the characters of the pteridophytes. So let's begin our topic. See, the pteridophytes are known as the botanical snakes or the vascular cryptogams. Vascular cryptogams, I hope we are clear with this term. The vascular, due to the presence of vascular tissues. Okay, they were the first terrestrial plant to possess vascular tissue, as we have discussed earlier, and your vascular tissues are your xylem and your phloem. Now, the morphology of pteridophytes marks a significant evolutionary shift. Okay, their morphology. What does term morphology defines? The external features. Okay, and anatomy refers to the internal features. Okay, so the morphology of the pteridophytes marks a significant evolutionary shift from a simpler, from a simpler bryophytes. Okay, as we have discussed earlier in our videos that in bryophytes the vascular tissues, you remember whether they are present or absent? Yes, they are absent. Okay, that's why the pteridophytes marks a significant evolutionary shift from a simpler, they were simple, okay, bryophytes. First terrestrial plant to possess a true vascular system. Okay, point to remember. And these tissues are your xylem and phloem, and their body is clearly differentiated into root, stem and leaves. Do you guys remember that in bryophytes, instead of roots, what we were having? We were having the rhizoids. Okay, and the bryophyte lacks the true root, leaves, stem. Okay, they were not having these part of the plant. But here the pteridophytes are clearly differentiated into roots, your stem and the leaves. Okay, so this was all about the introductory part of the pteridophytes. Okay, as we have discussed earlier in bryophytes that their body is gametophytic. Okay, the main plant body of bryophyte is gametophyte. Okay, meaning they are producing the haploid gametes. But in case of pteridophytes, the dominant phase is your sporophyte rather than your gametophyte. Okay, and the ploidy of your gametophyte stage was N as compared to sporophyte. Here the ploidy is 2N. Okay, so the dominant phase in your pteridophytes is sporophyte. Okay, ये बात याद रखिएगा कि जो हमारे ब्रायोफाइट्स में डोमिनेंट फेज होती है वो होती है गैमेटोफाइट, वाइल जो हमारी टेरिडोफाइट्स में जो डोमिनेंट फेज होती है वो होती है हमारी स्पोरोफाइट. ठीक है, दिस इज योर क्वाइट इम्पॉर्टेंट. Now we are going to discuss the dominant phase of the pteridophyte, which is your sporophyte. See, unlike mosses, the visible plant body you see is the sporophyte. The body of the pteridophyte that we are seeing is the pteridophyte. It is independent. Okay, point to remember here, the sporophytic stage of the plant is independent. It is not dependent on the gametophyte like the bryophytes. In bryophytes, the sporophytic stage was dependent on the gametophyte, but not here. It is not dependent. It is independent and physiologically dominant. Okay, the sporophyte stage is independent as well as it is dominant. Now we are going to understand about the roots present in the pteridophytes. These all are your morphology points. Okay, please don't get confused, and if you are having any kind of doubt related to the videos, you can ask me in the comment section, and it would be grateful for me that if you are asking any of the doubt without any hesitation. Okay, now roots. See the primary root. In pteridophyte, there is a presence of primary roots. The primary roots, as the name suggests, they are short-lived and ephemeral, meaning they die in a short duration. Okay, short duration of particular time. Okay, so they are your short-lived and ephemeral. Now adventitious root. What are adventitious roots? What are your adventitious root? See, these are the type of roots that are derived from the part of the plant. Okay, any type of the roots that have been derived from the part of the plant are your adventitious root. Take, see, these replace the primary root. As we have discussed, the primary roots are ephemeral. Okay, short-lived. Okay, so these root, adventitious root, replaces your primary root early in the development. Okay, during early in your developmental process, they usually arise from the nodes of the rhizome or the base of the stem. Now these your adventitious root, they originate from the nodes of the rhizome. Okay, the nodes of the rhizome or from the base of the stem. There are two sources of these root formation. Okay, now what is the function? What is the function of the roots? As we have discussed multiple of times that roots are responsible for the uptake of water as well as nutrients. Apart from that, it is also responsible for the anchorage with the substratum. Okay, helps the plant in the anchorage with the substratum. Okay, let's understand what we have written here. See, function. It provides strong anchorage. Okay, as we have discussed, anchorage meaning the attachment, and absorb water and minerals. Okay, from the soil using vascular tissues. It absorbs the water and minerals from the soil using the vascular tissues, which are your xylem. Okay, along with phloem, but the phloem is responsible for the transport of your food, and they are responsible for the transport of water and your minerals. About the roots that we have studied, now we are going to understand about the stem of your pteridophytes. Okay, see, the first point here is your rhizome. In most fern, okay, the fern are the example of pteridophytes, which includes Dryopteris or Pteris. Okay, the stem is an underground, creeping or horizontal structure. In the most of the ferns, the stem is an underground, okay, present beneath the ground. Okay, and it is creeping in nature, or you can say that they are horizontal structure, which are known as rhizome. Okay, which are known as your rhizome. I hope you understand what are rhizomes. In ferns, the stem is underground, creeping, or the horizontal structure, which refers to the rhizome. The another type is aerial stem. In some species like Equisetum or tree ferns, the stem is erect and aerial. Okay, the stem is erect, meaning the straight above the surface against the gravity, and aerial in nature. Okay, now the branching. See, it may be dichotomous, okay, or monopodial. Okay, here we are getting the two terms, the dichotomous and the monopodial. See, in monopodial, how does the branching occur? So, how the branching occur in monopodial? Suppose this is your main axis, meaning your main stem. Okay, so this main stem continue to elongate. Okay, continue to elongate, and here the lateral branches are forming. Okay, so this is your monopodial. Okay, while in dichotomous branching, the apical cells present in the apical meristem continue to divide. Continuous to divide. Okay, there is not any kind of main axis that continue to grow. Okay, suppose like that. Here it is dividing. Okay, अब यहाँ के जो एपिकल सेल्स होंगे वो यहाँ डिवाइड करेंगे इक्वल ब्रांच में, यहाँ के एपिकल सेल यहाँ डिवाइड करेंगे, यहाँ पे टिप पे जो एपिकल सेल्स होंगे वो डिवाइड ऐसे करेंगे, यहाँ पे जो टिप पे होंगे वो डिवाइड करेंगे, इस टिप पे जो एपिकल सेल्स होंगे वो इक्वल टू ब्रांचेस में डिवाइड करेंगे, यहाँ पे यहाँ. सो दिस टाइप. सो दिस इज योर डाइकोटोमस ब्रांचिंग. ठीक, जहाँ पर जो एपिकल टिप पे जो मेरिस्टम सेल होता है, सॉरी, जो एपिकल टिप पे आपके मेरिस्टमेटिक टिश्यूज होते हैं वो क्या करते हैं, कंटिन्यूअसली डिवाइड करते जाते हैं. ठीक, सो दिस इज योर डाइकोटोमस branching. I hope we are clear with this. Okay, while in comparison to the monopodial, the lateral branches are growing. Okay, here we are having the lateral growth, lateral buds are growing. Okay, in monopodial the main axis does not divide, it continue to grow. Okay, now the spatial features. In equisetum, the stem is jointed with distinct nodes and internodes. Suppose this is your stem. It is having somewhat like this like this. Okay, so suppose this is your stem. It is representing somewhat like this. Okay, so this point is your node. Okay, and the region between the two nodes, this region is refers to the internode. Okay, this region refers to internode, and this refers to your node. Okay, so in equisetums the stem is jointed with distinct nodes and internodes, and the surface is often gritty. The surface of equisetum is a quite gritty in nature. Okay, a little bit rough, you can say that, due to presence of silica deposits. Okay, in equisetum, which is your pteridophyte, there is a deposition of the silica over the surface of the plant. Okay, so this was your about roots and stems and stem. Now we are going to understand about the leaves which are found in the pteridophytes. Okay, a little bit characteristic, or you can say that the morphology of the leaves. Here I have written a word phyllotaxy. So what does the term phyllotaxy refers to? See, the phyllotaxy is the arrangement of the leaves on the stem. Okay, how the leaves are arranged on the stem refers to the phyllotaxy. Okay, this is your main stem, and here you are having a leaf, then here you are having a leaf, then here you are having a leaf here. So what type of arrangement is this? See, this is your opposite arrangement. Okay, the leaves are arranged opposite to each other. Okay, see, if the arrangement is somewhat like that, What is this type of arrangement? This is your alternate arrangement. Okay, I hope I am clear with the phyllotaxy term. Okay, it refers to the arrangement of the leaves on the stem. Okay, now we are going to understand about the leaves which are found in the pteridophytes. See, pteridophyte leaves are a key morphological feature. Why we are saying that the leaves are key morphological feature, we'll discuss it now. Are classified into two types based on their size and vasculature supply. See, pteridophytes, the leaves are classified into two, and the basis of your classification is the size and the vascular supply. On the basis of these two features, the leaves are classified into two types. And what are these types? These are your microphylls and macrophylls. See, as the name suggests, micro. What do you guys mean by micro? This refers to small, something which is related to small. Another, the macro. Macro maybe refers to a large, something big. As the name, according we are going with respect to the terms. Okay. So here the microphylls, these are your small leaves, while the macrophylls, these are your large leaves. Okay, so what are the characteristics of the small leaves which refers to the microphylls in the pteridophytes? See, these are, as the name suggests, small, scale-like leaves with a single unbranched vein. It have only a single vein. Okay, and this vein is unbranched. There is no branching. Okay, there is no leaf gap in the vasculature cylinder of system. Okay, in vascular cylinder where xylem and phloem are present, there is no leaf traces or leaf gap present. Okay, and the example of your microphyll where the small leaves are found is your Selaginella and Lycopodium. Remember this example. Okay, Selaginella and Lycopodium microphyll leaves are present. Now the macrophyll leaves, these are your large leaves. As the name suggests, they are large, complex leaves with branched network of veins. See, if this is your macro leaf, macrophyll, here the main vein is dividing. It shows the branching pattern. Okay, and these macrophylls, the large leaves, are also known as fronds. Point to remember. Okay, example is your pteris and ediantum. What was the example of microphyll leaves? Your Selaginella and Lycopodium. And macrophyll leaves, which are also known as the frond, is your pteris and ediantum. Now another point, important point related to the leaves in pteridophyte is your circinate venation. What does the term circinate venation refers to? See, it is a unique morphological trait. Trait refers to the any kind of character. Okay, of fern leaves. Okay, it is a unique character of fern leaves. Okay, in fern leaves which are macrophylls, meaning they are large, they show a circinate vernation. What is the circinate vernation? The young developing leaves are tightly coiled like a watch spring or a shepherd's crook. Okay, the leaves are like this. The young and developing leaves are coiling like this. Whenever they are emerging in the form like this. They are coiling themselves. This is one of the best feature of the leaves to protect themselves as they are young and in the developing stage. To protect the delicate growing tips. Okay, they are doing like this because they are protecting this meristematic region. Okay, because it is delicate in nature. See, here I have just put the two images for you to understand. See, these all are young developing leaves. They all are showing the circinate venation to protect your apical meristem. Okay. Okay, now the another point for our discussion is productive structure in the pteridophytes. Okay, this is another point of the discussion. See, morphology changes significantly when the plant enters the reproductive phase. As the plant enters the reproductive phase, its morphology. What is the morphology? As we have discussed earlier, the visible characteristics. Okay, the visible characteristics, or you can say that the visible features. Okay, so as the plant enter the reproductive phase, there are significant changes in the morphology of the plant. What are these? Let's study. See, first of all, the sporophyll. What are sporophyll? Remember this point. Okay, what are sporophylls? These are modified leaves. Okay, these are your modified leaves that bear sporangia. Okay, now the point arises, what is a sporangia? As the name suggests, sporangia meaning a spore producing sac. Okay, inside sporangia, spores are produced. So the leaf, okay, which is bearing these sporangia is known as sporophyll. Okay, as you can see in this image is depicting the sporophyll. See, this is your leaf. Okay, a compound leaf. What type of leaf is this? A compound leaf. Okay, and here the brown dots that you are seeing on the lower surface is your sporangia. A particular brown dot is representing your sporangia, inside which spores are produced. Okay, so I hope we are clear with the sporophyll concept. Okay, these are your modified leaves that bear sporangia. And what are these sporangia? These are spore producing sac. Okay, now what is sori? On the underside abaxial surface, the fronds. Here the pteridophyte leaves are saying as fronds. The fronds are given the name to the leaves of pteridophytes. Okay. On the underside abaxial surface of the frond, sporangia are often clustered into spot called sori. Okay, the abaxial surface is your lower surface and adaxial is your upper surface of leaf. I hope we are clear with this. Okay, abaxial meaning the lower. So what are sori? Now we are dealing with a particular term, sori. The sporophyll is representing the leaf. Okay, now what are sori? This whole leaf is known as sporophyll. Okay, now the sori are these brown dot like structure. These are your sori, and these soris are present on your lower surface, which is known as abaxial surface of the leaf. Okay, The fronds, we are referring to the leaves in the pteridophytes. And these sori, these brown colored dots, may be covered by a protective flap to protect them, which is known as indusium. What are strobili, or you can say that cones? See, in your selaginella and equisetum, the sporophyll, okay, the sporophyll are compactly packed, arranged at the tip of branches to form distinct cones or strobili. See, in some cases like selaginella and equisetum, these sporophyll that we are studying here, they are compactly arranged. Okay, they are compactly arranged at the tip of branches to form distinct cone and strobili, and this lead to the formation of cones or strobili. So this was all about the morphological features which are changing in pteridophytes. Okay, focusing with internal anatomy of pteridophytes. See, what are the changes? While in morphology focuses on external feature, the internal look define this group. Okay, what are the internal changes during reproductive phase in pteridophytes? The vascular tissues, which are your xylem and phloem. Okay, so they possess xylem for the conduction of water and for the conduction of water and minerals, and the phloem for the conduction of food. However, the xylem usually lack vessels. See, as we have discussed earlier, the xylem and phloem is your complex tissue. What does the term complex tissues refers to? They are composed of more than one type of cell. Okay, so the component of xylem are your xylem vessels, tracheids, your xylem parenchyma, and fibers. These all four are the different cells. Okay, now here the xylem lacks the vessels. Okay, in pteridophytes the xylem do not have vessels component, except in few species like selaginella. There are few species such as selaginella and equisetum, they have xylem component. Xylem component which is lacking here, that is your vessel. They have vessels, selaginella and equisetum, and companion cells. See, in vascular tissue we have identified that the xylem lack vessels and the phloem lack the companion cell. This is all about you have to learn. What are the points? See, xylem lack vessel element, while your phloem like your companion cells. Okay, now the stele. What are the modification occurring in stele? See, the arrangement of vascular tissues in the center of the stem is called stele. I hope we are clear with the definition. See, the arrangement of vascular tissues which are your what? Your xylem and your phloem in the center of the stem, okay, is known as stele. जो अरेंजमेंट होता है वस्कुलर टिश्यूज का सेंटर में स्टेम के, उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? स्टील. दिस कैन रेंजेस फ्रॉम सॉलिड कोर टू अ रिंग अरेंजमेंट. ओके, and it can vary from a solid core which is known as protostele to the ring arrangement of these vascular tissue, the siphonostele. So this was all about your internal anatomy. Now finally we are going to discuss the reproduction, the main important. Okay, see, reproduction in pteridophytes is a sophisticated process as alteration of generation. Okay, it is a sophisticated process which is also known as alteration of generation, where the plant cycles between the dominant diploid sporophytic phase and the cryptic haploid gametophytic. देखो, अभी तक जैसे हमने पढ़ा ब्रायोफाइट्स में, जो ब्रायोफाइट्स थे वहाँ पे जो डोमिनेंट थी वो हमारी गैमेटोफाइट स्टेज थी. ठीक है, बट यहाँ पे क्या है, जो डोमिनेंट है वो एक डिप्लॉयड स्पोरोफिटिक स्टेज है. Okay, the dominant phase is your here diploid sporophytic stage in case of your pteridophytes. Okay, and a cryptic. Cryptic is somewhat related to hidden. Okay, and a cryptic haploid gametophyte stage. See, unlike bryophytes, the mosses, where the green leafy part is the gametophyte, in pteridophytes, the visible fern or the plant you see is the sporophyte. ठीक है, जो ब्रायोफाइट के केसेस में जो हमें ग्रीन लीफी पार्ट दिखता था, जो विजिबल था, वो हमारा क्या था, गैमेटोफाइट था. वो क्या था हमारा गैमेटोफाइट. मगर जो टेरिडोफाइट्स हैं उसमें जो हमें विजिबल फर्न या प्लांट जो हमें दिखता है वो स्पोरोफाइट होता है. ठीक है. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी अबाउट द स्पोरोफिटिक फेज विच इज द dominant phase in the pteridophytes. Okay, and it is also known as the asexual phase. See, the sporophyte, which is 2n, is the main plant body. Okay, the main plant body in pteridophyte is your sporophytic stage. Its primary role is to produce spores. Okay, as the sporophyte produces the spores, okay, through a structure which is known as sporangium. Inside the structure sporangium, your spores are produced. Now, what is sporophyll? We have discussed earlier this term, I hope. Okay, so most pteridophytes have specialized leaf. Okay, the pteridophytes have specialized leaves which are known as sporophyll. Okay, that bear the sporangia. The leaf which is bearing sporangia is known as your sporophyll. Okay. Now, what are sori? See, in many ferns, sporangia are grouped. The spore in which spores are produced, these sporangia are grouped in cluster. Okay. Suppose these are sporangia and their multiple sporangia are grouped together, and these are known as sori, and these are present underside of the leaves, meaning the abaxial side of the leaf. Okay, on the lower surface of the leaf these are found, which are known as the sori. Okay, now what is strobili? This is an exception, like in some genera like Selaginella or Equisetum, these sporophyll form compact structure called strobili. When these sporophyll forms the compact structure, it leads to the formation of the strobili, or you can say that cone. Now we are clear with these three terms: sporophyll, sori, and your strobili or cone. See, sporophyll is the leaf which is bearing sporangia. Okay, and inside your sporangia, spores are produced. Okay, so the leaves of ferns or the pteridophytes that are bearing sporangia are known as sporophyll. Now, what are sori? See, when many of these sporangia are clustered together, they are known as sori. And these, your sori, are present on the abaxial side of the leaf. Okay, meaning the lower side of the leaf. Now, the compact cone or strobili. When your sporophyll in some genera like Selaginella and Equisetum, these your sporophyll, the leaf bearing sporangia, form compact structure. Okay, they form the compact structure which is known as strobili or cone. Now, the another topic is your spore formation. See, as we have discussed, inside the sporangia, the spores are produced. Okay, and inside your sporangia, the spores are produced from spore mother cell. Okay, the spores are produced from spore mother cell, which is 2n in nature. Okay, and this spore mother cell undergo meiosis and lead to the formation of spore which are haploid in nature to produce haploid spores. Okay, now here are the terms are important: homospory and heterospory. See, most one produces only one type of spore. Okay, when in sporangia only one type of spores are produced, it is known as homospory. Homo meaning similar or same. Okay, while in some ferns the two types of spores are produced. Okay, the two type of spores are produced. Example, the two type of spores are produced. Okay, this is known as heterosporous. Okay, and what are these two types of spore? See, one is your megaspore. Mega, as the name suggests, I think it is large, as from the term mega. Another spore formed which is your micro. The micro meaning small. Okay, see your megaspore, as this is your large. Okay, this spore develops into the female gametophyte, while your microspores will develop into the male gametophyte. ओके, देखो पोर्स का जो फॉर्मेशन है टेरिडोफाइट्स में कैसे होता है, जो स्पोरेंजिया स्ट्रक्चर होता है उसके अंदर स्पोर्स का फॉर्मेशन होता है, ये तो हमें पता है कैसे होता है. जो स्पोरेंजिया होता है उसके अंदर जो स्पोर मदर सेल्स होती हैं वो मियोसिस करती हैं और एप्लॉइड स्पोर्स का फॉर्मेशन करती है. पूरी के केस में क्या होता है, जो फर्न होते हैं वो प्रोड्यूस करते हैं एक ही टाइप के स्पोर्स, मतलब जो स्पोरेंजिया के अंदर जो स्पोर्स फॉर्म हो रहे हैं वो एक ही टाइप के हैं. Example of your homospore is your Dipteris. And there are ferns that are heterospory in nature, meaning they produces two types of the spore in your sporangia. These are your megaspore and the microspore. The megaspore will develop into the female gametophyte and the formed microspore will develop into the male gametophyte. I hope we are clear with this point of the sporophytic phase of the pteridophytes. The sporophyll, sori and strobili, homospory, heterospory, megaspores and microspores, and also your spore mother cell. We are going to study about the gametophytic phase. From where your gametophytic phase starts? From here, when your megaspore develop to form the female gametophyte and your microspore develop to form male gametophyte. See, when spores are released and land on the moist, cool soil, they germinate to prothallus. Okay, as the spores are released over the favorable environment, they germinate into a prothallus. They form a prothallus. And what is the nature of your prothallus? The formed prothallus from your spores is that it is small in nature, inconspicuous, and multicellular, heart-shaped, green, and photosynthetic in nature. Okay, the nature of your prothallus is it is small, inconspicuous, multicellular, heart-shaped, green, meaning photosynthetic thallus. It is free living. Okay, the formed prothallus is free living and independent of the sporophyte, meaning it is not dependent on sporophyte for its development or growth. It is independent of the sporophyte. Now the sex organ. This prothallus, it bear multicellular sex organ. The antheridia, as we have discussed earlier, is your male sex organ which produces spirally coiled, point to remember, spirally coiled multiflagellated, not biflagellated. It forms the multiflagellated male gametes which are known as your antherozoids. Okay, archegonia, which is your female, it is flask shaped organ which contain a single egg. See here your gametophytic phase, how the gametophytic phase start in the pteridophytes. See, the spore germinate in the presence of the favorable environment and lead to the formation of prothallus. And what is the nature of your prothallus? It is small, inconspicuous, multicellular, heart-shaped, green and photosynthetic. As it is photosynthetic, it is not dependent on the sporophyte for any kind of help for its germination or for its growth. It is independent of sporophyte as it is free living in nature, and this formed prothallus, it bears multicellular sex organ. And what are these sex organ, it is your antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia form the antherozoids, and the formed antherozoids are multiflagellated, okay, and spirally coiled. The archegonia, which is a female, the shape of your archegonia is flask shaped and it contains a single egg. Okay, so this was all about your gametophytic phase. We have discussed about your sporophytic phase, gametophytic phase of your pteridophytes. Now we are going to study with the fertilization and development. See, the transition from gametophyte back to the sporophyte require a specific environmental trigger. Now your gametophytic stage have to be transferred to the sporophyte stage, which require a special environmental factor, which is your water. See how the water help. See, water is the absolute essential for the fertilization. Water is absolutely essential for the fertilization. The antherozoids must swim through the film of water to reach the neck of the archegonium. Okay, your antherozoids are multiflagellated. No multiflagellated. And they swim in the film of water and reaches to the neck of the archegonium. And here is your egg in the archegonium. Then your antherozoid fuses with the egg to form diploid zygote. See, your male gamete was in N. It crosses with the female. The female is also N. It leads to the formation of 2N, which is your zygote. Okay. Divide and differentiated to produce multicellular, well-differentiated sporophyte. Now, from your zygote, the sporophyte is formed, okay, which eventually grow on the prothallus, okay, which grow over your prothallus. See, your sporophyte undergoes the meiosis. ठीक है, हमारी जो मेन प्लांट बॉडी होती है वो क्या होती है, स्पोरोफिटिक होती है. उसमें मियोसिस होती है, स्पोर्स का फॉर्मेशन होता है. अब हमारे स्पोर्स जो होते हैं फेवरेबल इन्वायरमेंटल कंडीशन में जर्मिनेट करते हैं. जर्मिनेट करने के बाद वो प्रोथैलस का फॉर्मेशन करते हैं. अब प्रोथैलस के अंदर मल्टीसेलुलर सेक्स ऑर्गन होते हैं जो कि गैमेट्स का फॉर्मेशन करते हैं. फिर ये जो गैमेट्स होते हैं मेल और फीमेल, ये क्रॉस करके जाइगोट का फॉर्मेशन करते हैं. अब जाइगोट में हमारी माइटोसिस होती है, जिसके बाद फिर से स्पोरोफाइट बन जाता है. और ये स्पोरोफाइट में फिर से मियोसिस होगी, स्पोर बनेंगे. वो स्पोर जाके फेवरेबल कंडीशन में जर्मिनेट करके प्रोथैलस बनाएंगे. प्रोथैलस फिर से गैमेट बनाएगा. गैमेट जो होंगे फ्यूज़ करके जाइगोट बनाएंगे. जाइगोट खुद में माइटोसिस करके फिर से एक स्पोरोफिटिक बॉडी बना लेगा. सो दिस वॉज ऑल अबाउट योर फर्टिलाइजेशन एंड डेवलपमेंटल प्रोसेस. Now, one of the key evolutionary highlight of the pteridophyte is its seed habitat. See, in heterosporous species, the female gametophyte is retained, okay, on the parent sporophyte. अब आपका जब पेरेंट स्पोरोफाइट फॉर्म होता है तो जो फीमेल गैमेटोफाइट बना होता है पहले, वो रिटेन्ड रहता है, मीनिंग प्रेजेंट. ठीक है, हटता नहीं है. ठीक है, वो रिटेन रहता है स्पोरोफिटिक प्लांट बॉडी के ऊपर आपका फीमेल गैमेटोफाइट. द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द जाइगोट इनटू यंग एम्ब्रियो. अब जो हमारा जाइगोट है वो जाइगोट से एम्ब्रियो ही तो हमारा फॉर्म होता है. ठीक है, सो द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द जाइगोट इनटू यंग एम्ब्रियो टेक्स प्लेस विद इन द फीमेल गैमेटोफाइट. ठीक है, तो जो हमारा फीमेल गैमेटोफाइट था उसी के अंदर जाइगोट से जो एम्ब्रियो का ट्रांजिशन हो रहा है वो वहीं पर हो रहा है. ठीक है, this retention is considered a crucial precursor to the evolution of the seed habitat, and this step is considered as the evolution of the seed habitat, which we are going to see in gymnosperms and angiosperm. Okay, now we are going to deal with some economic importance of the pteridophytes. See, they are used in agriculture and biofertilizers. Okay, what are biofertilizers? See, use of the biological agents as the fertilizer instead of your chemical fertilizers. Okay, so in nitrogen fixation, see aquatic fern, one of the aquatic fern is your azolla. Remember this name, azolla, most important. Okay, it harbors a symbiotic cyanobacteria. What is symbiotic association? The association between two organisms in which both are benefited. Okay, the two organisms which are participating in the relationship, both are benefited. Okay, this type of association is known as your symbiotic association. So the azolla shows the symbiotic association with the cyanobacteria, Anabina azolae. Okay, in its leaf cavities. Okay, जो एजोला की जो लीव्स कैविटी होती है वहाँ पर क्या साइनोबैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट होता है. ओके, एंड दिस एसोसिएशन हेल्प इन द फिक्सिंग ऑफ नाइट्रोजन. नाउ another is your rice cultivation. See, it is widely used in rice paddies as a biofertilizer. The azolla is commonly used as a biofertilizer in your paddy fields for increasing the soil fertility and crop yield. Okay, another important role is in industries. The stem of ecosystems, okay, are rich in silica. We have discussed earlier. Okay, the stem of the ecosystem is rich in silica as their rough texture is used for cleaning metal utensils and polishing the wood. Okay, this rough texture helps to clean the utensils and polishing the wood. Now the phytoremediation. See, what does the term phytoremediation refers to? Phyto is referred to the plant, meaning with the help of plant we are getting eradication from particular thing. Okay, so certain ferns are also known to be hyperaccumulator. Okay, they are known as hyperaccumulator, meaning they accumulate the heavy metals such as arsenic in them. Okay, in them they accumulate the heavy metals. So indirectly they are helping in the cleaning the contaminated water or soil. See, there are certain ferns, ठीक है, जो अपने प्लांट बॉडी में जो हैवी मेटल होते हैं ना उनको एक्यूमुलेट करता है. इससे क्या होगा, जिस एरिया में ये प्लांट प्रेजेंट है, जिस एरिया में ये फर्न प्रेजेंट है, वहाँ पे जो सॉइल होगी या हमारा वाटर होगा वो क्या होगा, लेस पॉल्यूटेड होगा, बिकॉज वहाँ पे जो भी हैवी मेटल है वो प्लांट ने अपनी बॉडी में एक्यूमुलेट कर लिया. ओके, अनदर इज योर सॉइल कंजर्वेशन. Pteridophytes possess an extensive network of adventitious root. Okay, they have adventitious root and underground rhizome, and these structure bind to the soil particle which prevent the soil erosion. As they have adventitious root, they bind very tightly to the soil and prevent the soil erosion. Another feature is that they act as a pioneer species, meaning the first species to colonize anywhere. Okay, pioneer species, the first species to colonize. जैसे कोई भी बंजर जगह है वहाँ पे जो पहली स्पीशीज़ आती है रहने या जो पहले आके वहाँ पे स्प्रेड आउट होती है, कॉलोनाइज करती है, उसको हम पाइनियर स्पीशीज़ बोलते हैं. ओके, सो दे ऑल्सो फंक्शन एज द पाइनियर स्पीशीज़. Another, they are also used as an indoor plant, okay, as ornamental plant because of their large feathery fronds. Okay, as they are having long fronds, they are used as an ornamental value. Some of them are also the source of food. The young coiled leaf, which are showing the circinate venation that we have discussed, of some fern are harvested and eaten as a nutrient-rich vegetables. Okay, they are eaten as a nutrient-rich vegetable. Apart from that, rhizome of Marsilea are the source of starch. Okay, it is a good source of starch and it is used as a food by some indigenous communities. Okay, so this was all about pteridophytes that we have discussed. In another videos, we are going to study about the gymnosperms and the angiosperms. And if you like the video, please subscribe the channel, and thank you for watching.